Hey, what's up? So I'm back, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics. They're all my favorites, right? And that is control. And I think a lot about in in life, and I have this conversation a lot, and I like to debate this. Like, what do we actually have control over? Because like one way of thinking about it is that when you look back on your life and you kind of see these things that have happened to you, good and not good, and you learn these lessons, and then you kind of take a step forward and you progress. You look back and I'm like, well, I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that didn't happen, because then that led into this opportunity, or it kind of made me learn this lesson, and then you kind of continue on, and it almost seems like there's like a linear path. And then people even go as far to say that, oh, well, then there's this God or this deity that put this in front of me, and then I would go to this job, and then I would get out of this relationship, and then I would go to this, and then it's a good thing I didn't get that interview because then this came up. And then you don't really have to worry. You can just have faith that it's just going to be okay, because everything's laid out already. You don't have to worry about it. So you just got to have faith. Even though you don't know what's going on, just have faith. That's one way to think about it. And then the other way is that there's no plan, nothing's fucking is set in stone. So essentially you just, it really starts with you, and then you kind of have thoughts and you think a certain way based on like your upbringing and stuff that you don't really have that much control over. But once you realize you do have control, and that you have these thoughts, and then these thoughts, they lead to actions, and then actions lead to, like, if you act a certain way enough times, well, let's just take a step back. If you think a certain way enough times, then you're probably going to act on it. And if you act a certain way enough times, then it becomes a habit. And if you have a ton of habits, a lot of certain kinds of habits, you then have a character. And then if you have a character, a way of acting that you usually act with a number of habits, then that kind of creates your life. Like if you have an unhealthy habits, smoking, eating, and shit, then you are not taking care of your body, and then that has consequences. That creates a character of not being in touch with your body and what's happening with you. And people would argue that those people who aren't in touch with their body and have unhealthy habits, that's kind of a symptom of them kind of not really knowing what's going on with themselves. And because then they would argue people who are usually well adjusted and happy, they're often mindful of their body, and that their body is kind of who they are, and then when you eat shit, you can't really get shit done. And therefore that's a character, and then that character has a sort of circumstances which they choose from, and then they kind of make life choices based on that. So one is that there's a thing going and you don't have to worry about it, and the other one is like, well, I'm making shit happen. And what I always refer to in this scenario is kind of my car, because I have a really shitty fucking car and I hate it. And I had this job once where I needed to drive a significant amount every day, and my car wouldn't start sometimes. And it would start like at really incredibly inconvenient moments. Like I was on a date once and it didn't start, and so my day and I were fucking stranded, and that was really embarrassing. But then I remember like I created these rituals around this car in which I would get into the car a certain way. I would put the seat back a certain amount, and take out the emergency brake, put my feet a certain way on the panel, and then start it and think good thoughts, and then hope to God that it fucking turns on. And it does. Hooray! And I mean, it's a huge celebration that it turns on, and I'm able to go to work like a normal person. And so eventually, then I would drive, and if I hit a pothole, I'm like, fuck, I'm sorry. Like, I feel bad towards this car. And then after a while, I'd be like, well, what the fuck am I doing? This is stupid. Like, this is not a horse. This is an inanimate object. And no amount of nice thoughts and vibes that I put out is going to fix this car. This car has a mechanical problem with it. And the fact that it doesn't work, and the fact that I take it to different mechanics and nothing's ever happening, is not the universe doing anything to me, or, you know, life giving me. Maybe there's a lesson in it, but it's not like a universe is like imposing anything on me. It's the fact that I made a choice to drive a shitty car and not get it fixed. Simple, right? And, you know, and that's kind of the metaphor I use for life, is that, like, maybe there isn't a fucking thing thinking about you, because that's pretty narcissistic that there's a plan for you, and I think so at least. Maybe there's just a thing that we kind of put ourselves in these positions and make these choices, and then kind of shit manifests from that, you know? And then really all of it's irrelevant aside from the choices that you make. And, you know, the new agey people will have you believe, they'll take it to the other extreme where that your thoughts, and, you know, you accumulate good thoughts and good feelings, and then they manifest themselves into shit that you want. That's the whole thing behind The Secret, right? That you think about shit and then it happens. You think about shit, stuff that you want, you put a vision board up with all your goals and pictures of shit. You want to get married, you put that up there. You want this job, you want this car, you put that up there. And then you get it from just thinking about it, you know? I actually spoke about this in one of my last videos. Right message comes at the right time, that if you think about shit, they kind of pop up for you, and I kind of explain the mechanisms behind that, but you can watch that. But they say that, and then they'll even go as far to say is that the people in our culture, in a culture, any culture, they'll have an amount of thoughts that will then accumulate, and then the bad thoughts will kind of culturally create kind of cultural bad things, cultural problems, like the way a culture feels about sex or whatever. The energy of those thoughts accumulates, and then there's a lot of rape, or there's a lot of sexual abuse or whatever. And then there's like the way a culture feels about, I don't know, like wealth or distribution. Then there's global hunger and shit like that. So then thoughts are given this crazy power, and then you have to be careful of every single little thing that you think, because it has ramifications on the whole fucking world. And that's another extreme where everything is your responsibility because of your thoughts. And then the other one is, well, nothing's your responsibility because it's all laid out for you. You don't have to worry about a thing. Just have faith. And then, and I think about that a lot, because when I want stuff to go my way and I have plans or have ideas, I think, well, what can I do to make this happen? And then, you know, then can I just think it so? Can I think about it enough and it'll happen? I mean, probably not. And I think that's an obvious thing for any of us to understand, that you have to actually do shit to make shit happen. And it helps, you know, they always say, like, you have an intention, and then you think about it, and then what can I do to make this happen? You know, and the action makes it happen, not the thought. But what really, the way I reconcile this, and kind of what I want to leave you with, is that your interpretation, the really only thing that we can actually control in this world, because we can't control the events that happen. We can't control the events that happen to this world and our communities at large, our countries and our ecosystems. We can't control that. You know, maybe you can do your little part by recycling, but there's a billion other people who are doing other shit. So we can't control that. We can't control what other people do to us or for us, you know. So really all we control is like the shit that happens to us, and we control what we do and how we interpret events. You know, maybe it is true that you think a certain way, then you act a certain way, then you have habits according to that. Well, then that's kind of stuff that we can be aware of. But then even stuff that happens to us, like jobs, or like you get fired, or you get broken up with in a relationship, there's ways of looking at that, and that's a huge choice, you know, and that says a lot about you. That's control. That's, you know, if you get fired, you think, well, what the fuck? I'm always getting fired. I can't hold down a job. I can't get anything right. God damn it. I'm such a loser. I'm never going to make it happen for myself. And the same relationship, like, you know, like everyone's always breaking up with me. I'm fucking up. I'll find some way to fuck this up somehow. And, and then you bring that on to the next one, and then the fuck up who fucks up relationships and jobs will probably eventually find another job, but then they'll have this idea about themselves that I am a person who fucks shit up, and I can't ever make whatever I want. I can't make life start going for me. And that's not helpful. And that's a chosen interpretation of which we have control over. Same thing with if you look at it the opposite way or another way, that you get fired, like, oh, well, this sucks. And, maybe I wanted to get fired, maybe I didn't. But either way, let's say I didn't. This is unfortunate, and I'm going to be sad, and I'll have a pity party for myself, and the next day I'm unemployed, so I'm going to do, so I'll spend the whole day in my pajamas and drink alcohol and feel sorry for myself. But then after that, I'll take one day for that, and after that, I'm going to keep going. I'll find something else. I'll decide what I'm going to use my time with, and I'm going to keep going. And it's going to be good because I'm someone who has setbacks, but I always adjust and I always overcome my obstacles. That's one way of thinking about yourself. Then relationships is like, well, that's over and I'm sad, but I'll take some time, I'll regroup, and I'll try again. And those are different ways to think about yourself. One is like, oh, I fuck everything up, and what's the point is I'm gonna fuck this up too? Or shit happens, and sometimes it's not always good, but we keep going. And that's what I want to leave you with, is I don't know really the larger questions of whether there's a plan for you or your thoughts are going to create absolutely everything in your universe, including outside, external stuff. But what we do have control over, and what I want you to realize is you do have control over your interpretations of things, and then therefore how you act. And that's really all we need, So be aware of when shit happens to you, what are you thinking about it? How are you interpreting it? And I've given you tools to do that, I've given you tools to go inside, brain the gut, all that kind of shit. So I hope that helps you in some way. And thanks for listening. Peace out, and as always, I got more. So peace out, take care, bye.